I really don't understand the ICE rate on the Hyundai power plant. It's so comically illogical that my first thought was somebody close to Trump from within his organization is trying to sabotage him by giving stupid instructions to ICE. Because one of the main reasons for tariffs is to encourage foreign companies to operate in US soil. And not for nothing, like that's a valid way to use tariff. All my liberal friends became like the most obnoxious version of someone who's taken Econ 101, like, oh, tariffs get passed straight to the consumer. No, sometimes companies like Hyundai decide to build a factory in the USA to get around the tariffs. I'm not bringing that up to say like the tariffs were like a win. I don't know what the net effect of that was. But Hyundai building a plant in the USA to hire US workers to produce batteries for them to sell, that is literally the textbook scenario of success with the tariff. Literally exactly what you want. And then he raids it with ICE and gets rid of the people. The Koreans were there to set up the factory, which is harder than working at the factory, right? Is setting it up for the first time, and then train US workers to do the job. I tend to give people credit. Like Trump winning the 2016 election, a lot of you are too young to remember this. Like in 2015, Fox News and the Republican Party did not like him. He had to beat the Republicans, and then he had to beat Hillary Clinton to become president for the first time. So I've never thought that he was dumb. I don't think he's a mastermind. Like, oh, 4D chess. Like, you know, like I've seen those memes, like his supporters. Like, I don't think that. But he's not dumb. But now I'm thinking that he might actually be. And everything else was like a crazy, happy, lucky accident. Like, that's very hard to believe. I think he was smart, and now his mind is starting to go. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, what did he think was going to happen? Like, right or wrong, I can't even understand what his thought process was.
Did you see these videos of an immigration raid at a Hyundai construction site in Georgia? Listen to this.
Warrant for this entire construction site, okay? We're Homeland Security. We have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
This happened at the construction site for the Hyundai and LG Energy Solutions new battery plant in Georgia, where agents from FBI, DEA, ICE, HSI, Georgia State Patrol, and others detained 450 people, including more than 300 Korean nationals. According to reports, agents went into the facility and asked everyone if they were U.S. citizens. Then they put U.S. citizens on one side and everyone else put on the other side and harassed and forced to show their immigration paperwork. Because of the raid, the South Korean government is very concerned about its company's investments in the U.S. and the treatment of its people. The South Korean government is trying to figure out why the construction site was raided, saying that the detained South Koreans had entered the U.S. on a B-1 temporary visitor visa. However, it is unclear if those workers subsequently tried to get a work visa or if they even knew that they couldn't work with the visa they had. But like we have seen from this administration, they're going after migrants regardless of their status. Hyundai did say that they're working with the U.S. government in the investigation, but if this is how the U.S. is going to treat workers, maybe more companies and potential employees should reconsider coming to the U.S. Look, I'm not trying to defend corporations that are probably taking advantage of their workers and their status. I'm concerned about the people. A lot of people were detained, which means kids probably went home with either one or both of their parents missing. These are people who are working, most likely paying taxes, and their only infraction is probably not having the proper paperwork to work in the U.S. And out of desperation, they took a job. This could all be a lot easier if the U.S. government actually let people adjust their status. If you think these people can migrate all the way to the U.S., get a job, pay taxes, but somehow they're not smart enough or law-abiding enough to adjust their status, then you have no idea how the immigration system actually works. This government makes it intentionally difficult for people to adjust their immigration status. Or in the case of the Trump administration, revoking people's status to make them undocumented. So undocumented people can be exploited, used as pawns in these political games, and at the end are the ones that are blamed for everything while the bosses and corporations get off free.
So let's talk about what just went down in Georgia. ICE stormed a Hyundai factory and took nearly 500 people into custody. 500. More than 300 of them were South Koreans that were flown in to help build cars. But this isn't just any factory. This site was supposed to be a $5 billion electric vehicle project. a push towards clean energy, a symbol of partnership between the US and South Korea. Biden put this in motion as part of his green energy agenda. Trump tried to slap his name on it when he got back in office, but the credit wasn't his. So instead, he does this. He sabotages it with the largest single-site ICE raid in history. So let's think about what that means. South Korea is now in Washington trying to figure out whether their investment is even safe. And meanwhile, hundreds of engineers and technicians are gone, just disappeared into the system. Where are they now? Sitting in detention centers, being fast-tracked for deportation? Nobody is giving straight answers. And to make things even worse, they were building the future of American manufacturing, which has been essentially dead for decades now. These engineers were invited here, but Trump's immigration agenda isn't about stopping illegal immigration. It's about targeting people of color and flexing power over who belongs and who doesn't. So yeah, this isn't just an immigration raid. Once again, it was a political move. It was Trump cutting off America's clean energy future just to prove a point.
Yeah, what we're looking at here is the end of foreign investment. So today, Stephen Miller and ICE raided a Savannah Hyundai plant in Georgia, arresting over 475 people. And I don't even call it arresting. Taken into custody, over 300 of which were South Korean. This is a South Korean plant. South Korea had a deal with Biden. These people that are working there had visas to work there. And now Stephen Miller and Trump have decided to round people up. They are killing us. They are killing us on the world stage. Why would you invest? Why would you build a plant in America and then have people come over to work here only to be rounded up, put in a horrific situation with ICE? There's diplomats coming. That's how bad this is. There are diplomats, South Korean diplomats are on their way to Georgia every day in national embarrassment with this man.